All right, we're back. My main man, JR. As always, different mothers, same father. And we just come together to, share our experiences, share our stories, share our path. And the goal that by sharing it, we expand it and we get others on the path, on your path. Your path does not have to be our path. We're just saying the path to peace, the path to love, the path to joy, whatever that is for you guys, whatever path that is, JR and I are both in support of. It doesn't have to be our path. This is your unique path to your truth. So with that, I welcome my brother, JR. What's up, my man?
I think that's an interesting place to start because I was thinking about us this morning when I was in my small group at the church and we were discussing some things. I don't know if you guys out there realize this, but we're coming together doing this. And as Ray said, our paths are completely different, I would say, because like the way that you got here, Ray, you explained in an episode or two ago how your wife, your doctor, you started asking different questions and found a different way. And it's funny because I told you how you influenced my path when you interviewed me many, many years ago. And mine has been completely through the Catholic Church, through my Bible, through reading scripture, through rosaries. So the fact is that we're coming together and we're not here to celebrate our differences, right? That's what the world does. That's what's going on out there in the media, in the news, on social media.
Totally.
What we're here for is to celebrate what we have in common. And whether or not we took the same way, we're still here in this place together and far, far away from where we came from, even when we first met. So I think that's an interesting place to start. And so you want to run into some questions. So tell me the experience that you're having right now, because this project has been a calling for you. There's no set goal, there's no angle, there's no actual destination that you know of right now. And so, what kind of feedback are you getting? What are people saying to you? What are you hearing as of this work that you're doing today?
Right, so there's a couple things, the old part of me, because guys, I'm growing just like you guys are, and I have attachment issues and recovering addiction from, having to force outcomes and force certain things. So sure, I care about this, and I'm working on currently right now caring about this and not being attached. And that's a practice, right? Not everybody gets it perfectly, and it's kind of where I'm at of practicing of sharing this information, but then not having it be a part of my being, not being attached to it, meaning this is not personal for me. This is the divine working through me to share this message out. And I get to witness, JR. I get to witness, like I told you, hey, JR, maybe you want to consider trying 75 hard and see how that goes. That was the divine speaking through me to you. It happened to land on solid ears. Hey, I'll go do that. Right. So these messages kind of they come through you once you're open and you're present, and then it wasn't my message, it was for you, but it was through the divine coming through me, and then I just get to witness it, right? And that's kind of what I want to do here now, is have that divinity channel through me as much as possible and just share the message. And for me, selfishly, soulfishly, I like getting to witness guys transform. And I know I'm not the cause. Like I would be never so humbled like that I am the cause. I'm never the cause of that. But man, how wonderful is that we're all going back home through the Father, and then that he has to use you to help others, right? That's how it works. He uses you to help others, and then you get to witness their transformation and you get to celebrate them. And that brings me joy. This is kind of why I do that, Jay, because I monetarily I don't have to do this, right? But I couldn't be fulfilled and joyous and fulfilled at the soul level if I didn't do this, Jay. Does that make sense, man?
Yeah, yeah, I think that it's a place of maturity. It's a place of wisdom, and it's a place of knowing yourself and then realizing what you're supposed to be doing in this world. And I'm with you. Like I said, we come from different angles at this, but we're not different. We're here to evangelize the way, teach you guys out there that maybe there's another thing that you haven't seen, another angle you haven't covered, another way to do the thing that you're trying to do.
Wouldn't it be boring if all of us had the same way back home? It's kind of magical that you and I can relate to this stuff, because I don't see people, even like people say, oh, what's different, spirituality and religion and this, and that. I don't see them all of that. I see it all as the Father helping his sons, helping his daughters, helping this friendship come home to what? To peace, love, and joy that is all within you. So sure, sometimes I'll quote a Bible and sometimes I'll quote Buddhism and sometimes I'll quote something else. And sometimes, but this has come through my own inner realization of sitting down in prayer, in meditation, and you having a relationship with your divine self. That's where true magic happens. Because it's good to read in a book, and I read a book, and it's good to, and it's good to go to courses. I'm going to Joe Dispenza for a 7-day meditation retreat in a couple of weeks. So that'll be good. But there's no substitute for you sitting and having an experience of that you and your Father are one, of experiencing the divine. There's no substitute for you communing and getting that feeling that I can't even describe in words, because words fall short, of knowing that you are connected to that and you are part of that. And you're not separate from your creator.
Let's jump into some questions. We've had some we've had some people send in some questions, and I've got a little glare here, so I got to lift up my iPad. But let's jump into these, man. Is that cool?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
For those just starting out on their journey, where could you send them to start so they can shortcut the process growth that you've gone through and are constantly going through?
Got a few thoughts on that, and then Jared, I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah, man, hit it.
I think the first one is the mindset. There are no shortcuts. The pain, the discomfort, the couple of books that I read that he calls it, they're channeling Jesus in that, and he calls it that sand that disturbs the oyster that makes the pearl. That's where you want to go. So if you get disturbed, celebrate that. That's a chance to heal. That's something coming up to be released, right? Because the moment you're off joy, that's when life gets interesting, because you're supposed to be joyous. You're supposed to be at peace, right? That's the default mode. So dive into your discomfort would be that. And know it might be a long-term process. Commit to the process, whatever it takes, guys. JR and I don't care if this takes 10 years or 100 years. I am committed to this process, and I love the process. I'm not attached to the outcome of being enlightened or being whatever that is. I want to be at peace, love, and joy as often as possible and not go unconscious. What's the simplest thing you could do? Meditate for a minute in the morning and a minute at night. Just sit in silence for a minute in the morning and a minute at night, and just listen to your thoughts. Just don't hear them. Don't follow them. Just know that you are the observer of the thought and not the thought. That would be my number one easy thing to do. A minute in the morning and a minute at night.
Psych. You said easy, but observe the thought and don't be the thought. Yeah, not easy.
not easy, but it's I'd rather you do that than read any kind of spiritual book or anything else, or right? Like because now you can be at choice. Now you know you're not the default programming of the world.
I'm going to say that you started out with the right question and then you went to the wrong question. The person who sent this in, you know who you are. And the reason I'm saying that is the right question is where to start, and start where you are. Yeah. Where are you? And Ray just gave you a real simple thing. I can give you another simple tip. Gratitude. Let's start from where does abundance come from? Gratitude, right? And so for me, where this all started was many, many years ago in the jungles of Costa Rica, when I was out there on a trip to do marketing for some resort. And this guy put me onto this idea of a gratitude journal in the morning and at night. Start your day, end your day, bookend your day with gratitude. What are you grateful for? And what this does is it wakes up your awareness of all the wonderful things, because you've talked about you can't produce in lack. Well, most of this world is in lack. I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have that. But God, what do you have? Mm-hmm. And so much to be thankful for. Well, so that's where I started. Like I said, Ray and I took two different paths. I didn't meditate till many years after that.
Ray, you focus on how we're more alike than dissimilar. You're focusing on the gratitude, which I love, right? Because what you focus on is huge, you know?
Yeah. So where the question went wrong was a shortcut. And that's what Ray said. That's what I said. I've been doing this. I mean, working on this journey for at least 13 years. It don't feel like a shortcut. I don't know how long you've been working on it, but fall in love with the process and forget about the shortcut. Fall in love with just showing up, doing the work. Some days it's not going to be good. Yeah. Some days it's going to be bad. Some days it's going to be amazing. And that is all part of the journey. So instead of shortcutting, what I would say is just get started. That's the shortcut. Get started today.
And there's another shortcut now that I kind of read the question again and felt more into it. Here's your shortcut, guys. You don't need to go to some ashram and some Buddha to wake up. Life, every moment is blessed for you to show up to it as your higher self. Every moment, everything that comes up in your single day, that is the perfect church, if you will, for you to awaken. God's always at all times calling you home. This universe has been here for trillions of years. that moment that's in front of you will never be in front of you again. That moment is your blessing, how you show up to that moment. So can you be in the present moment with whatever's showing up? That's how you come home.
So there was some magic there. Get started and be present. They seem like nothing and you could easily ignore them, but I agree with you. Those are two huge things that you could do right now. So let's go to another question. How do you communicate the growth you are looking to achieve with your spouse? Do you think your spouse needs to grow with you in the same way at the same time?
How do you communicate? And JR, I'm going to take it out of your book. You lead, you live it, right? Because my wife is very good at this stuff, like, intellectually, and she's more naturally spiritual in her way of being. Like she's more easier for her to practice this stuff and live this stuff and actually show up differently. So just recently she's doing a new event. So now it's triggering all her stuff. So it's like, wow, she is human, like she does go off kilter, right? So, but she's been showing up, as best as she can. So I think the communication happens by you living the example. JR, one of the hard things in life, and I actually, the guy who asked this question, I was told to tell him this. And I don't want to tell him this, but I was told to tell it to him multiple times. Sometimes that's the thing about me. As I got deeper and deeper into this practice, I started to listen to that voice that tells me, hey, tell him this. And at times I go, no, I don't want to tell him that. Hey, tell him this again. Right. So this person, I told him this, he goes, it's really hard, not only for us to change ourselves, but let's say your wife is used to seeing you in a certain way and she expects you to show up in that way. And when you show up differently, it is really hard for her to receive you in that new way. So be compassionate with that person. The moment you change, it's different for everybody, because now they created an ego for you that they're perceiving you through. So they're expecting you to show up a certain way, and a certain part of you is expecting you to show up a certain way. So when you show up differently, give them some grace, give them some time. And if they're women, they're going to test you. He showed up this way. Oh, he took care of the kids tonight. Well, let me see you can do it tomorrow. Yeah, right. So you have to live it first, and then do I think your spouse needs to grow in the same way you do? No, she has her own unique path. And what's magic is, like, what's magic with me and JR. He has his path, I have mine, but now I get to learn the path from another perspective. So I become more whole in that, and I can appreciate that. So she learns it her way, but ultimately we both know the outcome is peace, love, joy, and live more of our real truth.
Yeah, the first time I ever heard this was you talking about you and your wife, and both of you growing in the same direction, but not the same path. And that really hit home with me. And I think that's something that us men need to take to heart. Are you with the right partner? Like that's a real question, because if your partner is not growing, it's questionable, right? And so a real partner is going to be ride or die. And I've been with my woman for 20 years, and we've been through our ups and downs. And when I started doing this path, this way, and I started talking about God and my mission on earth and being a fisher of men, her eyes just got wide, and she's like, who are you? And I thought she was coming down on me because I get defensive. That's the ego. Sure. And so we fought. We butted heads. And it took a whole lot of fighting and a whole lot of making up to find out that she was just worried that I was leaving her behind. That's what she was afraid of. And I'm like, no way. Strap on. I got you, right? I got you guys. I got you. I'll always be by your side, and I always got you. And so the question is, if you have the right partner, that's the big question. You will both be growing. You can lead by example, as we have talked about. And I talked at length when you interviewed me, how I was an example for my wife, Cupcake. You do have to have that grace. You do have to have that fortitude of, yes, this is the right way, and I'm going to keep showing you. But I think leading by example, and then having those open dialogues. So what's the problem with this? What's holding you back? Anything, just talk, ask questions, and find out where your partner is, so that you guys can grow in the same direction, even though your paths may be totally different.
And I think, like you said, I like those words you said. I think kindness and compassion is important here too. Right? Be kind with each other, be compassionate. You guys are on different paths, but the same journey. And something I'll share with you guys, that's kind of been an evolution of my thinking, is you got to really choose if you want to be on a spiritual relationship. Because JR, I know you are in one, and so am I. At times when you have those confrontations, she will point out your own shit to you and you don't want to see it. How you know you have a good one is she will point out your shit and say, this is yours. This is not mine to take on. You deal with it. And then you get to swallow that pill. But what most guys do, and I've been guilty as well, so I know, is you end up fighting that back because you don't want to own that within. That thing that you're projecting out is your own BS, your own triggers, your own trauma. And a real relationship that is growing, you will mirror that back to her and she will mirror that back to you. And then both of you have to go do that work, that inner work, to heal those things.
No, I think the other thing that we want to talk about here too, really quickly, is just to go back to the conversation that we had the last time, is you, the person listening to us right now, need to work on you. And so forget about how she's doing it or how they're doing it or how we're doing it. You need to work on you. You need to love you, and you need to own what you're doing before you can love your wife, your kids, or anybody properly. And so that's the other thing. Sack up, own what you're doing, own your stuff, like like Ray said, and then be a beautiful example of love when you come into these conversations. Because if you're coming from that place of defense, you're going to be fighting. That's the evil one wanting to tear you apart, and you got to own it.
What did the master say on that? Why take the splinter out of his eye when you got one in your own?
Great. We're talking about that this morning, right?
Why go look at his when you got one in yourself? Like, dude, come on. Does Cupcake challenge you in that way? Well, she'll point out your own stuff to you. And again, this is done in a loving way. No one's trying to beat each other up. But if JR's got some of his own trauma and she happened to trigger that trauma, well, it's on him to fix that trauma. She might have just kind of like made that pop out. Does that happen in your relationship, or is it just mine?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay,
I mean,
not yeah, not at the
like,
moment.
Hey, this is beautiful.
Right.
I get agitated, but I'm also, we're in a place, man, like I said, 20 years together is not a short amount of time. And I give her so much credit. I learned so much from her. She's done work on herself just like that too. Like, we would get into a fight and it's battle on. Both of us, let's go, right? And you don't want to fight with me. I fight dirty, right? So let's not go there. Right. And she learned. She's like, I'm mad. This is going to get ugly. I'm going to go ahead and just check out for a second. Go think about why I'm mad before I argue with you, so that when I argue with you, I can tell you exactly point 1, point 2, point 3 why I got mad. So she goes and thinks about it. And so I learned from her on that. Like, all right, wait a second. What is it that's bothering me? Right? She taught me that. But yeah, she challenges me. She's still challenging me to this day.
What is it that's bothering me? Because it's never about that thing out there. It's not about what's going on in the world. It's my thoughts about what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
The meaning that we attach to things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she challenges me, and it makes me just want to be better, because I don't want to be challenged. But when it comes up, we might argue a little bit, but I will always come back and say, hey, listen, I know I did this here, and I know I argued with you there. I was mad about this. But now to take a step back, this is what I did wrong. Am I on the right page? Okay, great. We got it. If not, please tell me. Please instruct me what I could do to get it right. And that's open communication, right? We're partners.
Yeah, communication partners. And the other thing too is, like, some of these things, guys, at least for us, I'm sure you too, Jay, are recurring themes. Some of these issues that have come up are old traumas in me, or old Puerto Rican or Cuban traumas, that just come up again. I go, babe, this is something I'm working on. So it doesn't think it's getting better, but this just might be something that's going to take a little time for me to heal fully. So we might have to have this talk a few times, because I might end up going unconscious. Something might happen and I might just get triggered. So just be compassionate and kind with me as I work through this, but I do want to work through this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. We want to be better.
Yeah.
And speaking of triggers, what triggers have you identified that bring you back to that scarcity mindset, and how do you course correct and reset to the abundance energy?
Oh man, for me, I've got a lot of those. Anything in the financial market that doesn't go the way I wanted to go, right? If we got to invest in a business, or crap, even at the time when, we're running the rentals, someone doesn't pay rent and then I got to go evict them, like that whole piece, like, oh, they're out to get me. This idea, again, and it comes from our background. I grew up in a communist way and thinking that people are going to take things from you. And in my past, my grandparents, that was a real thing. They actually did lose their house. They came in with nothing but their clothes on their back. So some of that trauma is still in there. but it is for me to heal. So all of those, especially for me, what triggers most scarcity is things around money, things around where, again, I've got some wounds there that we're looking to heal, just traumas that are looking to heal around that, around spending money, around people taking advantage of me, around, even spending money on things that are for my joy, right? I'm good at making it and saving it, but then when I want to spend it on things that would expand my peace, I'm getting better at that. And I am writing things and practicing and looking to heal that. And then I'm looking to share that with you guys. Like, I'm an open book with that stuff because I know I'm not alone in that. And the more I share, the more I get to heal that, the more I get to share that with others. That part of the healing is teaching it, and then making a new choice, even, and it's going to be uncomfortable. So that's one that for me might be a life lesson. Like, it might not be something I 100% heal, but that I'm always working on and getting better at, and making peace with it.
You know, I don't know why. It's right there with me and the money. The money is one that easily gets me into that,
Yeah,
just like fight or flight type of syndrome, and all
totally.
hell's breaking loose. And like I said before, man, I got enough money, so I got more money than I ever had before. So why am I worried about it? And it can just like, oh,
In
dude,
a
had a
heartbeat.
weird, yeah, it just
Yeah.
changes. And sometimes it's just the dumbest thing. Like I had this happen, and I had to think about it this week. I was like, Huddy is in a new program, science program. I had to drop him off, and I'm like, dude's going to be there for 4 hours. I got to find something to do. I found a gym around the corner, YMCA, and it costs $60 to join. Come on, man. 60. For some reason, that $60 was messing with my head. $60, Ray. Like I
I
could throw
know.
$60 on the floor and not care about it. But yet this $60 was screwing with my head. I'm like,
I
oh, I
know.
shouldn't be spending this and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I mean, they got Wi-Fi, they got showers, they got equipment. Like, what's going on? And it's just those weird things like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. And the way that we
Yeah.
grew up,
I call it,
you
you
know,
pucker up, you tighten up. You're like, what the hell, man? No one's taking anything. I
right?
do this. I did the same shit with the gym here, Naples Family Fitness. I was gonna go there, and like it's like $30 a month, and I go, okay, even if I go once or twice a month when I'm near the area, they got a great farmers market. I won't go there that often. I go to my other gym. Oh, the membership, and dude, all of a sudden I have it, and it's like, dude, I feel a lot better with having like. But dude, this took months. So you're better at this. Took months for me of like you know what it is? It's like giving yourself permission to enjoy your fruits of your labor. It's I'm writing on a long article about this right now, this specific thing, and I'll share with you, Jay, something that's helped me from that article. As you and I, this whole week's what I've been doing is writing that. The question I asked myself: where in my life am I currently prioritizing profits over peace, and not allowing myself the expansion of joy? And I forced myself to old school pen and paper write this out. And one of them was that gym. I didn't want to go to the gym because I'm not a membership, and I didn't want to use it much, and it was far away, and I don't need a $10 coconut water. Why that coconut water? Because I like that coconut water. Holy shit. Like, you know what I mean? Right? You spend $100 on coconut water and it's gone in a week. The coconuts, see the coconuts in the abundance. We go back to the coconuts, right? So,
Came back.
but JR, I mean, I encourage you, if you haven't done that, man, and the audience is like, where in your life are you currently prioritizing profits over peace and not allowing the expansion of joy? And what I mean by profits there, it isn't like it's that we're so taught to maximize profits, but here, that always maximizing thing doesn't lead well to you now spending, because it's not a maximization of profits. You're maximizing peace now. You're maximizing joy. So where in your life, and again, be smart about this. So do it with the little things. Like that gym membership is a little thing. Those are the great things to start to then use the money to enhance your peace. This is kind of what I'm doing right now, is like, hey, if I want to go have that breakfast, if I want to go do that and it feels good, do that, right? And again, this is be smart, guys. If you're down on your last 5 Gs, don't go fly private to Vegas, and have a good time, right? Like, let's just be smart. But at the same time, Jay, $60, like, let's work through that. And but I'm sure, Jay, if you're doing it there, like at least when I started writing this out, I was doing it all over the place unconsciously, Jay.
The money's always a big one. And like you said, actually using the money for things comes up. I think even for like we have different love languages at our house. And I didn't know that. My love language is acts of service. And so the way you tell me you love me, my wife, if you're out there listening, Cupcake, is you cook for me, right? You do laundry for me. Okay, maybe I'm chauvinistic, but you show me by doing things. That's the way it is. I thought that was her love language, and I would do things and didn't matter. Her love language is words of affirmation.
Mm.
So I had to realize, oh, good job. Oh, thank you for that. Oh, that looks great. You deserve that. All that kind of stuff. But I think that whatever it is, you got to be able to be aware that you're triggered, because that's where we started here. What triggers you and how to bring it back is be aware when you're triggered, and maybe give yourself a couple minutes to just sit back like we've demonstrated here and think, hey, why am I thinking this? Where's this coming from? Is it serving me? Is it getting me closer or further away from where I want to be, which we want to be in peace? Yeah, shoot. Having that gym there makes my life a whole lot easier. I can just drop off the kid, go work out, take a shower, and use Wi-Fi. What was I thinking about? But I hit the resistance on that. And we all are going to do it.
Yeah.
You got to be aware of it, take a step back, and then evaluate it, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm with you 100%. And also, Jay, man, let's celebrate it that we caught it. The Jay from prime years ago would have not have caught that. You know what I mean? Like that if you can actually catch that trigger and catch yourself in that flight or flight because of that thing, I think that's a win, right? Now you can still choose to follow that, right? But if you can see it, man, that's why I kind of like prayer meditation, because it allows you to see what's real and what's not. It allows you to kind of get some distance from what's happening, so that then you can make a new choice. Because if you're in that old version of you and you can't see a difference, and you just get triggered and you are running around like a triggered person all the time, you're going to suffer.
I'll add one more before we move to the next question that has helped me out a lot. And I would have moved to this step immediately afterwards if I didn't resolve this issue. But what I have found works the best for me is having a journal and being 100% open when I journal, all my feelings, all my thoughts, pouring them on paper so that they exit me.
Yeah.
And then leaving them there, leaving them on that paper. Shut that book, walk away, and you're going to be surprised. Just by writing it down, it takes it off your heart and off your head, and then come back the next day or 2 days or 3 days later, and then you can look at it objectively. You're no longer in the emotion state and say, is this serving me?
Yeah.
Is this helping me or not? And look at it objectively. So writing these things down, I have found, has been a tremendous help.
Yeah, no, we're both in alignment with that, with that question that kind of we ask, ask the question and then journal it out, old school pen and paper. Here's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to act from the trigger. If you know that you're triggered, you do not want to act from the trigger, right? That would be, now you're rewiring that same old pattern. Don't take an act out of that trigger. If you're triggered, doesn't mean, hey, go buy this. Hey, go sell. No, if you're triggered, chill, relax, tranquilo, breathe.
Tranquilo.
Right. Once you're not triggered, then take the actions. Any action that you come out of fear, lack, is only going to create more of that.
I'll give one more example. This is from this week. Like I tell you, we're still struggling through this,
Oh
guys.
my God, for sure.
It's like we got a notice because we live in a condo, and I was already down, like on a downswing, and I think that's why some of this stuff happens. It's natural. Ups and downs is natural, and you got to be able to recognize that.
Yep.
But we got an email from our condo association about our walking too hard in our apartment, and they recommended that we wear soft shoes and limit our noise. Dude, I wanted to go rip some faces off. That's how angry I got. Like, I can't walk in my apartment, which I have paid $500,000 for. Come again? I was so Ray. And it wasn't just me. Cupcake was losing her mind. We're both like, whoa,
Fully triggered. Let's
yeah,
go. It's war.
Yeah, full out war. And I'm like, let's just chill. Let's just chill. We're coming from a dark place. Let's just chill. And she's like, I know, but it bothers me so much. And I'm like, it bothers me too. I want to kill people right now. I mean, talk about an overreaction, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
don't walk in your apartment. Come on. And you know what I did? I said, all right, I'm not in the right space for this right now. So let's just shelf that. We know we don't like it. Let's just shelf it. And then we'll come back to it, because we think it was a neighbor downstairs complaining, and he's kind of a complainer, to put it nicely. He's still God's child, and I still love him. But came back the next morning, and I had a whole new attitude. I had a good night's sleep. I was clear, had done my prayers, and I went and replied to that email. Yeah, I hear noises too. I thought it was just because we lived in an apartment. That was it, right? That's all I needed. But the day before, I was killing people.
Yep.
dropping nukes.
Yeah. And Jay, like, congrats to you to kind of take that break. Cause sometimes, like, when I'm tired and I'm kind of like, I've had a long day and I've kind of put a lot of time into writing this article, whatever, that's not the place for me to go make new decisions, do something new. Like my energy is low. Go renew, go out for a walk, go pray, go meditate, go to the gym, do something different, but don't react. Because at that point, you're not even responding to the email, you're reacting to the email. And there's a difference. So great job for catching it, And guys, we're still gonna react too. I mean, you catch Jay at the right time, he had the little Cuban coffee in him, and you honk at the horn at the wrong time, and you might still get a but again, the goal is to catch him. We're all human.
Yeah,
We're
the
spiritual
awareness.
beings having a human experience.
That's it, man.
Yeah,
So there's some fun with our triggers. Right?
that was a good one. That
we're
was a
not
good
we're
one.
not all spiritual, all high and mighty, baby. We're
No,
down in the dirt because it's
yeah,
like that's the identity, and that goes back to the identity thing of who we think we are, right? Because you and I talked about that, and me, I'm a fighter, so that's who I think I am. But I had to tell myself, well, actually, God has asked me to be a lover. So
mm,
if I'm not in that space, I need to just reevaluate for a second.
totally. And it doesn't mean the fighter won't come out. Hey, somebody grabs cupcake or hoodie. It's where a different conversation, right?
Yeah,
Right. So protect your family. But to be like that on guard all time, no, man, it
no
doesn't
way.
serve anybody.
No way to live.
Yeah.
Let's do another question. How do you deal with the ups and downs that come into your day to day?
Man, one of the ones I think you nailed it well, and I struggle with that at times too, is expect it to be up and down. Like, how fun is that? Like, just know you're not always going to be at a high, and you're not always going to be at a low. And when you're at a low, this too shall pass. Give it time. Don't push your lows. Like, if you know you're at a low, take a break, change gears, do something else. Like, have the awareness to make a different choice. And guys, I know it's hard. I want to finish this email. I want to send this out. Maybe you send it out the next day, and like, who's putting out the urgency? This is your like, in essence, I would manufacture, and I still do this. I did this week with an email, like with the spiritual email sending out. I'll go, okay, I'm gonna be all spiritual, but I'm gonna force this email out. Dude, what the hell? It's not alignment. You know what I mean? Like, dude, tranquilo. Get the email out, write it up, and then it'll automatically send them the next day. What's the rush here, bro? You're not making any money here. The world, you're not trying to save the world. Well, you are looking to save the world, but you know what I mean? Like you create the self-imposed urgency and the self-imposed downs. Some of those downs, we create them by pushing too hard. So two things. One, know it's going to ebb and flow, expect it. And when you're on a low, make a different choice. And when you're on a high, also know it's not going to last forever. Enjoy it. But no, don't be attached to it when you're at the high.
I'll give you an example and something that we're going through right now, because this year is our first year homeschooling Huddy, and we made that decision. I mean, it wasn't a decision we took lightly. We knew that it was going to change our lives. We didn't like the way life was with school and homework and commute and all that stuff. And this is one for Cupcake. She gets in there, and I mean, you know how we are. We're checklist people. we got everything down to the minute. Like, we need everything a certain way, and I think that holds us back
Right.
in a lot of ways, because we're not open to what's happening around us sometimes, because we're so focused on our checklist. It's almost like idolatry. The checklist is an idol.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying to get through the homework. And in the past, when Huddy's got that brain fog, which is one of the reasons why we didn't want him in school, because they couldn't give him the attention, they couldn't give him the space, and sometimes he couldn't do the work, and he was holding himself back or the class back. And she's getting into this thing like, we got to get Latin done. We got to, like, she's getting her head smoking, right? And then I just look at her and I said, are you sure? Does it need to be done? And she thinks about it for a second. She's like, no, it doesn't. So
But
she's like, we're not doing this. Right.
you get
We're
in
not
your own
doing
way. Yeah.
this.
Totally.
We're not doing this. And
Oh my.
we go to reading. She goes to reading, and they have a wonderful time reading the Winnie the Pooh book. And it goes to what you said: be aware and make a different choice. You're in control of that.
Mm-hmm.
You have that power. God gave you that power to
Mm-hmm.
create your day.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just say, especially like you said, when you're in a down, hey, you know what? I'm going to go play some Nintendo. Hey, I'm going to go smoke a cigar. I'm going to go for a swim. I'm going to go for a run. Whatever you want to go do, make a different choice. Don't keep pushing at that thing.
Yeah, anything is better than you keep pushing at that thing, because now you're suffering. And the weird thing is, you made it personal. You made it about you. Like, your identity is now wrapped up in this thing. and it has nothing to do with you. Go do something else. That's a sign that tells you, hey, something else, change gears, not keep going. Because the achiever in us, the hustler in us, the grinder in us would keep banging their head against the wall. But that's not the sign that's giving you. You know what I mean?
Well, I
So
think that if you've been listening to us for a while, you nailed it in that last episode where you said I could have made a whole lot more money with a whole lot less stress. We create that stress.
yeah.
We create those problems. And that's what you guys want, this enlightenment. It's right here in front of you. Make better choices.
And
Plain and
realize that
simple.
the urgency and scarcity you bring. You added the urgency.
Saves.
You made it that Hudson needed to learn all that same day all at once. No. So be mindful of that. What's the next one, brother? I think we got that one pretty good.
All right. So what would you recommend to someone who wants to change and start owning their life situations?
Man, I like the first rule of spiritual growth. Kind of one of the main spiritual books I read, the Way of the Heart. It's called The Way of Mastery by the Shanti Cristo. It's a thick book. I've shared it with you, JR. And he says the first spiritual rule is you have to accept responsibility for everything. Because if you don't accept responsibility for everything in your life and that you created or made everything in your life, then you can't change it, right? If you're projecting it out there, you're blaming somebody else or you're making an excuse for it, then you're not responsible. You're not at the source. You're not the creator of your life, right? I am the way, I am the truth, I am the light, I am law. This means you in your own world are the creator of your consciousness. You only see what's in your consciousness. If you abdicate that and say, hey, that's outside of me, well, then you're never at responsibility. So start owning it. Take responsibility. That's where I would start. You are a creator
Your
in your life,
fault. Yeah, it's all your fault.
and it's all your blessing too.
And it's all your blessing, right? So then
Right.
you have control. So you're taking control. I mean, I don't think there's more to say that. Own it. Own it. I
Own it.
like that.
Own it. I like the own it word. Yeah. I like that. And then kind of one last thing in a prior question is how do you deal with the ups? I think one of the things I've learned too is when I've had an up, because like maybe like last 2 months I had an up, especially in the spiritual path and just flowing, like things were just flowing. Enjoy it. Like when consciousness opens up for you and you're going through a deep spiritual awakening, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy the ups. And don't get attached to the ups either. Doesn't mean expect the down to come. Enjoy the up. Sometimes, Jay, you and I don't give ourselves permission to enjoy the ups. You know what I mean, Jay? Or you make it
Joking.
harder, or hey, I don't deserve the up. No, you deserve the up. No, but I didn't work hard enough for this up. Enjoy the up. Enjoy the mushroom. You know, like your Super Mario brother, and you get a little mushroom. Enjoy the mushroom. You know what I mean? Enjoy the one up.
Own the ups, own the downs, right? Own
Yeah,
it.
own it. So and enjoy it.
What do you attribute to helping you develop increased awareness?
And I think it's for me, it's been the meditations. To me, the awareness, the books and all that stuff has helped, but the meditations has helped me see where I'm triggered, see what's going on, and pause and reflect and take a step of where like, hey, I don't have to react anymore. And sometimes I do. Sometimes it still gets me. A lot of times actually still does. But every once in a while, I catch it and I make a new choice. And I love that. That one time where I make that new choice, that one golf swing, that one basketball shot, that one rep at the gym, when I make that new choice, it was worth it, So for me, it's been the meditation where I can actually step back and know I'm not the thinker of the thought. No, this is just a thought passing through. I'm the consciousness, the awareness looking at the thought. And then I can make a new choice.
I like what you're saying there. And I think I heard a talk from Sean Whalen where he was talking about the stories that we tell ourselves. And that's kind of the ego, who we are, where we've been, what we've done, that story, that narrative that we have. What he suggested was turn the page and write a new story. Yeah. And so I'm with that, that we have that God-like power to create. We can create the world that we want to see. And when we're thinking in terms of awareness, I think about reps, putting in your reps. Like the fact that you're here with us right now has already increased your awareness.
100%.
You're listening to us and you're realizing, oh yeah, I've done that. I've done that. I've done that. That's how you increase awareness. You get around the right people, you listen to them, and then you start putting it into action. So everything that you're hearing is for your benefit, to increase your awareness and for ours, so that we can get better, so we don't get so hot-blooded and want to blow
Yeah.
up the world.
Yeah, so we can enjoy life more. 100%, JR. 100%. Do the reps, and it's everything. Awareness is everything. 'Cause if you don't have that, then you can't make any. If you're not at awareness, you can't make any choice. So you're almost like you believe you are the ego, and that is your reality. And you're not. I'm not making you wrong or judging you for that. But if you can't see that there's a program running, if you can't see the program, then you can't change the program. You can't make any choice.
It's a gift. It's a beautiful gift that you have right now in your earbuds or on your screen. I hope that you use it wisely. So let's move to the next question. How do you begin to recognize materialistic well-being does not translate to happiness? What? Yachts, Ferraris, and mansions don't make you happy? How do you realize that, Ray?
For me, it's been all I can share on that has been my journey. But the world will teach you that these material things, right, Jay? And I'll link this. But there was what's this guy's name? The one video I sent you today.
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand was talking with someone from a CIO thing, but in essence, he was talking about this, that this material world will teach you the materialism, and that in that all of us achievers, guys, like me, Jay, are kind of these guys that want more, and that's what I mean by achiever, that you want more. The reason that drives that is you usually come from low middle class and you want to prove yourself because you're missing something. And the society says, hey, if you achieve these material things, or you become someone, usually by success or however that's defining that culture, right? Whatever, different cultures have different things. Puerto Ricans like their little cafecitos, and just giving JR some crap. But different cultures have different
Empanadas.
things. Yeah, empanadas, different things. There you go. Arroz con gandule. So every culture has the things that they value or deem like that. So for me, it was achieving, especially in the financial realm, and proving myself, right? There was something to prove because I wasn't enough. So there's an underlying thing of, hey, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, I have to go prove myself. Here's the truth that I've learned, and I'm still learning, guys. Nothing out there, no thing, and nothing out there will ever give you those things. I'm also writing about this in that same article. It's not meant to, like we spoke about in the last podcast. So it's not meant to give you that. Your worthiness is of God. It's given to you by grace. The fact that you're here, you're worthy. The fact that you're a child of God, you're worthy. Your worthiness was never in question. The ego is going to question your worthiness, but your true worthiness, you are a child of God. God is a part of you. You are a part of him, her. Your worthiness, never in question. So if you go out there and try and prove your worthiness is unprovable. So it's almost like a crazy game that the ego plays. But if you believe the ego and you try and go prove yourself, you'll always end up at a lack of fulfillment. And then that lack of fulfillment will trigger escapism. JR and I spoke about that. You're now, because you're doing all this shit, you get all this stuff now, all this money, you're still not fulfilled at the soul. Holy crap, I'm going to go out and drink. I'm going to go out and do some drugs. I'm going to go out and porn, whatever the addiction is. I'm going to go out pursue another addiction, because the addiction of going out there and making money and hustling and grinding isn't giving me fulfillment at the soul level. And that empty hole of not being worthy has not been filled. So I look for an escape to try and fill that, which then even gives a bigger hole. But the good news is that hole drives you to spiritual growth. That hole drives you to God.
So I don't know if we ever talked about this, Ray, but when I was 18, I was in construction. I was an electrician's apprentice, and I worked out by the beach, Ponce Inlet, working on some condos over there. And I was making like $6 an hour back then. All right. $6 an hour to do construction work in the hot Florida sun. And I remember sitting at lunchtime towards the back of the condos, looking at the ocean, saying, man, one day I'm going to have one of these. I don't even know what they cost back then. And I know I was certainly not qualified to have one. But for 20 years, I kept that dream of wanting the condo. I ended up getting the condo here downtown when we moved over here. And 20 years of work, 20 years of dreaming, 20 years of saying, I'm going to have that. Here it is. I have it. And you know what happens? I get depressed. Because that was it, right? All my life, my adult life, I worked for this thing and I got it. And that's how I figure out that maybe the material things don't matter, is because I was looking for an answer outside of myself. when I have that, I'll be happy. And I wasn't happy. And that's when I started drinking more and I
Oh,
started
wow.
doing other things right before I met you. It wasn't too long before I met you. But I realized that the answers, I was asking the wrong questions, which meant I was getting the wrong answers. And it wasn't what I had out here that was going to satisfy me. And so when we're thinking about this materialism, is what you're going to find out is when you get that watch, you're going to be so bored of it. When you get that car, it's not going to matter. When you get that condo, that's when you have to start asking yourself, what am I really looking for? And that's how I ended up realizing that I was hungry for God, for the way, for the answer, for the truth. And so you listening to us right now might have a shortcut. You don't have to go as far as we went till you realize the answers are within you.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you, Jared, 100%. I didn't know that. When you're looking for fulfillment of the soul, the things in the external world will never do that. And I like how Russell Brand said it. Don't quote me. I think I'll kind of try and say what he said, but he said it in a way that was like, I was like, wow, I had to play it twice. It was so good. He said that don't go looking for a temporal solution for your permanent soul.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
go.
that was
Yes,
money.
I was like, what? Oh, a mic drop. And he said some more golden stuff after that. I was like, this is exactly what you and I were talking about. If you're looking for the permanent stuff, for the eternal stuff, don't go look for a temporary things that are born in time, die in time. Anything that you can see, touch, taste, smell, these things are gonna die. The body, the ego, all of that. Don't go look for these solutions to fill you in the inside. The inside, it's permanent. Your soul, your consciousness, those things in the outer are never going to fill you in the inner.
Yeah, man. Share some of your most reliable tools or methods to overcome negative thoughts. And I think we've talked about this a little bit, but maybe we can be a little more concrete.
The key bullet there is rather than try and overcome the negative thoughts and fight with it, what I'm now doing in my practices is I give them the mic. Like your boy Fat Joe says, Puerto Rican love, turn the fucking mic on. And I drop the mic on them. Say what you want to say. Say what you want to say. I'm here. I can expand my heart to hear you. I don't listen, but I hear them out. Hey, and sometimes there's something there for me. Sometimes like, oh wow, I didn't see that. I hear out the negative thought. I sit with the thought. I be with the thought. All right. Father, Holy Spirit, help me release this thought. Help me heal and protect the mind. And help me see only truth, Father. I only want to see the truth about myself and my brother. I only want to see the Christ in front of me, of the Christ of me. Of the Christ of me, I only want to see the Christ in front of me. I only want to see truth. Release this from me. Only after I've healed that. And I'll say something similar to what I just said now, and then it releases. But if I fight with it, if I play tennis with it, if I go into the mental flagellation of trying to don't engage that thought with the mind, engage it with the heart. That's what I do.
I think my big thing that we talked about earlier was a journal, downloading it to the paper, letting it go. But also, a recurring theme that we've talked about over and over again is not attaching the meaning. I think that when I was studying meditation, be like Teflon, let it just slide off, right? Yeah, come, go, whatever, slide off, but don't grab onto it. Allow it to happen. Allow it to happen. So I think that's a couple good tools.
Yeah.
What about?
One last thing there, like that was really key. I didn't want to. I want to make sure I drive it home. Here's what not to do. Think of a tennis match. Don't have that negative thought serve you, and then you with your mind serve it back. Do not do that, because you'll always lose that game. That negative thought isn't who you are. It's a lie. It's an illusion. Pay no attention to it. Feel it, heal it, let it go. But don't engage with it. Don't wrestle with it.
So let's see. We've got a couple more. I think that we opened the show with this one. Speak to the sameness of all religions and beliefs that should be used to unify us rather than divide us.
Yeah, we
Anything
did.
you want to add? Because we opened with that, didn't we?
Man, sometimes with the sameness of all religions and beliefs, I see it all the same. The religion, the spirituality, it's all the same. It's all different flows, and you find your own flow. You find your own rhythm, your own magic, your own your own jam. What resonates with you, and then you do that. And guys, that changes. For me, it started out one way, then it changes. I'm going to this Joe Dispenza things, and I find magic in everything. Like I'm such an eternal student. I love this so much. I can go to a meditation event with Joe Dispenza talking about the science of this and the quantum and be equally fascinated. And then I could bring that to like a Christ consciousness conversation. And then I can go talk to about Buddhism on their impermanence things. It's all the same. They're all on the same path. Like we're more brothers on one sonship and one consciousness, right? Love your brother as you love yourself. Well, he said that. What you do to the least among thee, you've done to myself. Like, what you do to one of those, what you do to one of my little homies, you do to me. Why do you say what you do to one of my little homies, you do to me? Well, he said that because he realized the concept of oneness. Buddha talks about oneness, but so did Jesus. He just said it differently. He goes, what you do to him, you do to me, because we're all one. It's one consciousness. It's one sonship, right? And we're all helping each other come home, back to that oneness.
Well, this is the perfect time for this one. How can we best increase our sense of compassion towards all our brothers and sisters?
See the truth of yourself. If you can see the truth of yourself, if you can see the truth of you, like that you are son of God, that you are pure spirit, that you can see your own reality and you know that's who you are, and then you can see the truth of them. You don't see their lives. You see them as your brother, as your sister, as your equal. You're not judging them anymore. You're loving them because you're seeing their truth. And they might not know that consciously, but unconsciously they know that you're not judging them. Hey, this guy's here. He's loving me because he's seeing me for my truth, not the lie I'm living. I think that's the biggest way to show compassion to somebody else is see the best in them. See them as a child of God, equal to you. They're not better than you. They're not worse than you.
I'll go back to what we've spoken about over and over. The best thing that you can do for your brothers and sisters is to learn to love yourself first, and that love will radiate from you. So
Yeah.
just a shorter way of saying what Ray said.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I mean, that's spot on.
And
Anything else you want to leave them with, Jay? I think we went through a lot of questions here. I think this was great. Maybe next time we'll kind of cover some of that article stuff and we'll kind of go over that. If you continue to host me here on this and play with me out here, two kids playing in the kingdom in the sandbox.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, I think we hit everything. I am glad that you've allowed me to come on this journey with you. And for you out there listening, make sure to continue letting Ray know what is helping, what else you would like, what else would help you move forward, because it also helps us think about where we are, what we're doing, how we got here, and how we can serve you.
If JR or I can help you anyway, feel free to reach out. You got our emails, you got our contact info. We can help you any way we can. Let us know. We'd love to serve you guys.
Take care.